Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world. I am very pleased to say we're back, and we're going to be doing 2 webinars a week. I've got a schedule that I'm going to show you in a moment, or schedule, depending on how you want to pronounce that. And I should point out I'm very, very sick. So if I start coughing and spluttering, it's nothing personal. I was in an event in Portugal, in fact, 2 events, and then trapped on a plane for many hours, and surprise, surprise, I got sick from it. So I even know who probably gave me the I have a dog hair on my shirt. There you go. It shows up on HD 4K, doesn't it? Today's webinar is pre-recorded, and we will be doing the pre-recorded session. Marco G cannot come with us today. He is off doing something else. However, I actually helped edit the book, so I can probably answer some of the questions. And we'll probably have Marco G back on again another time anyway. I'll just say hello to a few people because, that's how we start these things. The video interview itself is about 25 minutes. Milan says they like my Guy Fawkes mask, this one here. Yes, well, it's counterculture, isn't it? You got to have these things. If you could see my camera up, if my camera could look up further, you'd see things like a Google propeller hat and a few other things as well. I'm a geek. I collect geeky stuff. There's a spear there, and just in this corner here, pointing my thumb that way, there's even a 12.2 shirt, soccer shirt from Brazil, because I've been to Brazil. Who have we got? Let's see who. Some people saying hello. I'm just going to minimize the chat, Martha. Hello, Richard. Hi, Richard Hatherall. He will be here with us during our next few sessions at some point. We're just still working out the details and all the rest of it. Richard Hatherall, very, very good developer. And also, he's got a publicist now, so I feel all kind of like, woo, should I even talk to him? He's so organized and famous now. I don't have a publicist, I just have me. Who else have we got? Yes, I'm not going to say your name. I'm going to say it's probably John, something like that. John. Hello, Ian and Marco. Yes, like I say, unfortunately, Marco can't be with us, but he's with us in spirit and on the video. Jim says hello from Connecticut. And Q-Top says good evening. And also, more importantly, Brandon Staggs. Hello, Brandon. You're back again. I know you were in our webinars previously. He's pre-ordered on Amazon a couple of weeks ago. Excellent. The book, which is in the background. In fact, if I move my head like that, you can just see it by my right ear there. The book is actually available now, and you can get it. We're promoting it because, for a start, Marco G is a very good tech partner and MVP. But also it's about a subject that we love, which is Pascal in general. Turbo Pascal, it's the history of Borland and various other things as well. So it's a really, really good book. I'm not going to take too long to say hello to her. Hello, Stefan. Yes, it is only the man flu. I was super sick at night, and I woke up and I feel better now. I've taken a lot of tablets and things like that to try and burn it out of me. What do we got? Larissa says hello. Troy from Iowa, Hawkeye Land. Yes, hello to the Hawkeyes. I actually used to live in Nebraska, just over the border from Nebraska, from Iowa. So I'll say go Big Red. And any Nebraskans will know what I mean by that if they're Huskers fan. Richard says, "Get out of here." How rude! Just because you got a publicist, you're all super famous now, so it's good. Belkir, hello Belkir. Boyan, you're in LA. Hello Boyan, very, very good tech partner. Excellent stuff. If you do anything with Arduino, go to Boyan's site. I'll try and fit him in one of our webinars soon as well, because he's got some great stuff. And I really like all the Internet of Things. I'll just say hello to a few more people. Hello from Nidal in the UK. Hello Nidal. And hello, UK. I haven't been to you for about 4 years now, so I feel very American nowadays. I did fly close. I went to Germany, the Netherlands, and Portugal. So I was very, very close, but I didn't quite get over. Hi from Austria. Will you share the schedule you mentioned? Yes, I will after this video. I'm going to show you what we've got planned. We've got something like 30, I think, webinars planned. A lot going on. We're going to do some very cool ones as well, which I think people will find quite interesting. We have an amazing amount of people registered for this webinar. We've got over 1,500, I think, the last count, maybe more than that, maybe 1,800. So that's pretty good for a development webinar on about a specific product. That's so, my bosses are pleased with me. So, and of course, it's people like Producer Martha that gets on and does all that kind of stuff. Producer Martha is part of a big team of people that just make me look good, and I just turn up and talk a lot. Bill is debugging in Hoover, not Hoover as in the cleaning appliance, but Hoover as in the city. Charles, hello, Charles. I know Charles. He's a great guy. And Marquez, hello. And Trevor says hello. Pretoria, a lovely place. We've got many Delphi developers over in South Africa. And we're fighting with the schools to make sure that we stay in there because it's taught in some of the schools. It's Bertie Buttigieg is the guy that solves all that kind of problem for us. And he's a really great guy, very enthusiastic and works extremely hard. And Ali says, hello, everybody around the globe. Yes, exactly. Thank you, everyone. Now, look, I'm going to start playing the pre-recorded video in a moment. It's 25 minutes at the end of it. If you've got any questions about the book, about some of the interviews that went on and things like that, let me know in the chat. And also, I'm going to be live at the end of it. After that, I will show you the schedule and I'll talk about a few other things as well, because I've had a lot going on, and I mean a lot of developer relations stuff. And we're trying to do various other things with releases and stuff like that as well. So for now, what we're going to do is swap over to the pre-recorded section, and then I will see you in about 25 minutes. See you soon. Now will be the time to click it, Martha. There you go. Well, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on where you are in the world, in the country. And it's time of year that you're actually watching this, because you might be watching this on replay. This is a special webinar. We normally do them live, but we're pre-recording this because we've got a lot to talk about. Today, I've actually got a special guest. You may know him because he is quite an active guy in the Delphi community, and he's also a joint CEO of one of our tech partners. And I'm going to try and say his name. I never ever get his name right. We're going to try anyway, and we can watch him grimace as I say it. So I'm introducing Marco Geuze. Geuze? I can tell from we practiced this before, and I still get it wrong. Everybody, I call him Marco G. It makes
Marco G is fine. Yeah. Hello.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Yeah. Hi, Marco. Well, today we're actually going to be talking about your book, and I'm going to try and hold this up. The reason I don't have my lovely backdrop behind me and all the rest of it is just so that people can actually see this book, because otherwise when I wave it around, it'll just disappear into the blue screen and all the rest of it. Pretty good book. It's not super chunky, which is good, but it's actually a very credible book. I should say beforehand, I did do a little bit of editing on this as well. You wrote all the book, and it's called actually I'll let you introduce the title and talk about what the thing is about. Really, it makes sense.
Absolutely. Yeah, sure. Well, as you've seen, the title is Pioneering Simplicity, and it's a book about the history of Delphi and of Pascal. So maybe it's good to tell you a bit about the history, or why I write this book, because when I was searching for a couple of topics for our knowledge base on the website, I think it was almost 2 years ago, I was looking for some history on Delphi and on Pascal. Started to write a couple of things about Delphi, about Pascal for the blog posts, and then it got bigger and bigger. And as you know, with these things, then you think, okay, what would happen? Could you, for example, compile one of the earliest programs of Pascal, still the latest compiler, and you do some searches, you start doing research, and before you know, it turns out to be way too big for a couple of blog posts. So in just one or two sentences, that is what's happened. So I started with some blog posts. It ended up with quite a book, I think. And the goal of this was to really have one, how do you say this, sort of line in history of what happened to Delphi and to Pascal, and how it all started. And then I started to interview people, key figures from back in the days, from the early days of Pascal, from Delphi. And it turned out to be a book.
Well, I mean, obviously I read it as I went through it, and a couple of little things. I think we mentioned this before somewhere, I'm not sure, but I also need to let the readers know that you actually told me you wrote this in Dutch first, because obviously you're from the Netherlands, and then translated it into English. Now, I'm a professional editor. I edit other people's work all the time, and you sometimes read things by people and you think, oh dear, and my job is to buff it up a bit and make it a bit more acceptable. But I have to say, I didn't know until you told me quite a way into the process that you'd written it in Dutch first, because it is very, very well written. And I'm not just saying that because you're on camera right now. I mean, we're friends anyway. I think off camera, I could tell you what I really thought if I had to. It is extremely well written. And not only that, but it does read kind of, I think there's probably two parts. I think it's fair to say there's two parts. The first part talks about Blaise Pascal, who is obviously the inspiration for the name Pascal, because he was a remarkable person, and the book goes into quite a lot of detail about his life, which I think is very important, because he also, his life inspired, the pursuit of science, I think, by the people that then went on to actually invent Pascal. But then the other part of the book is more about how the language Pascal evolved, and then obviously went into Free Pascal and Delphi and all the rest of it. And if the people are watching this and they're not Delphi people, if they're Pascal or Free Pascal users, I mean, I know I'm wearing the badge, and this is an Embarcadero webinar, but this applies to both. I think that's true to say that it applies to if you've got an interest in Pascal, or you've got an interest in computer languages and the history of computers, then this book actually goes into that. So it's very, very good.
Yeah. Well, that was the goal, of course. It's so there's not much actual code in there. It's purely the history of the languages and how Pascal started. And indeed, I'm talking about a lot more things than just Pascal, because of course there's a part about Niklaus Wirth in there, including the other languages that he developed, like Oberon and the Apple Lisa, for example, Modular. There's so much history in Delphi and Pascal that it's really about a history book, and not so much about the language. It's also about, of course, the whole story with Borland, how Borland started, where it came from, including the history of Anders Hejlsberg, and
the man who is a legend, really. And I think you did it very well as well. And it's a difficult situation because obviously, slightly involved in it. I want to make it clear that we didn't put any pressure on you to say good or bad things or anything like that. I think there was only one bit where I said, maybe this paragraph looks a bit weird. That was the only thing. But Embarcadero did not write this book. It was completely down to you. And we would never interfere with an editorial process and say, you can't possibly write about the Borland days that way. No, it would look bad because, we're not Borland, although I work with people every day who were actually working at Borland. But I found it very interesting. I learned things that I didn't know. And I think it's also very poignant that at the time we're recording this webinar, because maybe someone will see this in a year's time. This year, Niklas Wirth passed away. Actually,
Yes.
unfortunately, on I think it was the 1st of January.
Yeah.
And I think the book really also does good service towards his history as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
Because you did cover, he was a remarkable guy.
Absolutely. Yeah. Even the title, I think, is partly a tribute to him, because simplicity is one of the things that he really stood for. And there are a couple of stories in the book as well. One of them, for example, about this new language Oberon he developed. There's some story about that when he presented this language for a classroom for students. He had a couple of slides to talk about the language, and he first showed a slide about all the new things that he added, and that was just a small list, 4 lines of things that he added to the language. And then with a big smile, he uncovered the next slide, which was the things that he removed from the previous version of the language, which was way longer.
Yeah, and you know what? I really admire him for doing that.
Yeah,
it's like,
absolutely.
You don't need any of this.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So he was really about simplicity, but also about the strength of the language. So he always said that indeed you shouldn't have a thick book in to explain the language. It should be maybe 30 pages at max to explain what a language does and how you would describe it. Because if it's too large, it's too complicated, and then it's rubbish in his eyes, I think. And he was really about the simplicity of things.
And the funny thing is as well that I actually, I mean, I didn't really think about this, but I've always, tried to promote Delphi in a way and say, anybody that is using a different computer language, which is fine. That there's no. I had a conversation yesterday with Scott Hanselman from Microsoft about this, actually, via Twitter, I should say. I've presented with Scott before, but where he was saying, look, it's not a competition. It's not like one can succeed and the others must die. It's horses for courses. But I've always thought of Delphi and saying, I think if you don't use Delphi to develop, you're doing everything the hard way. Because one of the strengths of Pascal, and this is Niklas Wirth's genius, was to make it very easy and expressive to understand. Yeah. And as you said, pioneering simplicity, that's the title of the book, is about making the process of software development easier rather than harder. I mean, I always poke fun at the C++ people and say, C++ is the answer you get if you say, how can I make computer programming, as difficult as possible, and come up with C++, which of course is not true. I mean, it's an excellent, tool, but it's like having, a scanning microscope when all you need is a lens. That's the thing. It's a great tool, but can I ask you as well? Now, in the book, you didn't just go, I'll go to Wikipedia and take some quotes out and do a bit of Googling. You actually interviewed quite a few people, didn't you?
Absolutely. Yeah.
The people you met. I'm going to have a drink of coffee whilst I'm doing this.
Sure. Yeah. Well, who did I interview? There were a lot of people. I think I started with the earliest days, like when Pascal the language was out in the universities. I interviewed Andy Michael, who was the editor of the Pascal newsletter, which came out, I think, in around the 1974 or so. Started with him. He did the editing of this newsletter, and they sent it out to the universities. So I interviewed him. I interviewed Anders Hejlsberg. He found time to do an interview as well, which is great. Maybe you know him.
For those that don't know him, and shame on you if you're watching this and you don't know him.
Yeah, you should know him.
I mean, come on, read the book first, because you'll find out who Anders is. But Anders is the father of Delphi and Pascal to a certain degree, and C# and TypeScript. And I can't remember what he was doing recently, but he's I think they call him a meritorious fellow at Microsoft or something. title that makes him sound like he's carried around on people's shoulders. Like he is our hero. But, boy, that guy he definitely deserves it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
he seems to have, maintained the ability to be a decent human being. Because I have to say, there are people out there that are pretty famous and are not decent human beings. And Anders,
he was completely open for this. Yeah, and he did a read of the book as well, so he endorsed it. So that's nice as well. Yeah, no, but like David I, who probably everyone knows as well. I've had an interview with him, talked about the history of.
Yeah, and I mean, there are so many people in the book, I think, that are like Anders, and I think you really you sort out the right people, because I think it's important, as you said, hearing what they've got to say firsthand rather than reading something on the internet, because the internet has got this habit of kind of stories that from someone's perspective becomes the only answer. Like reality distortion field, it's like Steve Jobs. If Steve Jobs told you that the Apple iPhone could turn invisible, and he was the only source of that story, people would believe him. And I think going and asking around was a good idea.
Some of these stories are not even on the internet, like the thing that they, and you've read it as well, before they developed Delphi, they started a project which was called Project Monet, which was really about the visual stuff, so visually linking sort of integrated circuits to each other, which is something that isn't on the internet. And you just, maybe you can find some occurrences, but I don't think so. And these things,
I don't remember reading about it before, and so I guess maybe it just wasn't something that people thought about.
Unfortunately, they hadn't any copy left of that. I would have to check, but I don't think they have some screenshots of that, which had been nice, but nah. That wasn't the case.
And I think people need to know as well that the book has, without breaching too many copyrights there, but the book has got all sorts of photographs in, like that's a photo from Zach Urlacher, and
he was.
Nice. You've got some photographs in there that I've never seen before. There are a couple that I'm like, oh yeah, I know where you got.
Some of them are,
but it seems like people wanted to cooperate, which is pretty good, and I think as well that. You did a really good job of covering the difficult parts, because I think that, you know what I mean. Because it's no secret that Borland. I mean, you discussed Borland's growth from being a kind of little company that bought a few things in and tried this and tried that, and then just basically grew and grew and grew, and then Turbo Pascal just took the world by storm. And even the wonderful Elon Musk, probably the richest. I think he is the richest man in the world, but definitely he's a thought leader. I think that's how people call it. But even he has said publicly, and I kept the tweet because he said Turbo Pascal was the language that he loved, and really you cover that section and talk about. How close they were at one point, basically going bust. I think that was fair to say.
It was really close. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, they only had like a couple of weeks runway before they went.
Yeah, exactly. And they had some acquisitions that didn't went very well.
I like this chapter heading. Some mistakes were made, I think. That pretty much sums up how things go for me. Some mistakes were made, but I got over it.
Exactly.
I think it is great work, and I am biased. I played a very small part in it, but not only that, the reason I do this job, and people always say you're always so happy and you're always like so upbeat. Why wouldn't I be? I mean, well, look at what I do for a living. I literally talk about a product I love that I choose to use every day, and GDK, which is your joint CEO. I'm going to put the little I'm pointing around. Put your barcode up there as well, because people should. I'm sure they know this, but they should realise the giant CEO of DD. Yeah, so you do actually work for a living, not just write. You're not a starving writer living in a garret above some Amsterdam, flop house or something.
Yeah. No, writing this was mainly in the evenings, indeed, and in spare time. Just and that's also because I live in the Netherlands. So most of the people I interviewed were in the US, which means that I had to interview them for me in the evening, for them during the day. So there was mainly indeed something to do in the evenings, and it took about 2 years, I think.
Wow,
as you think go, you know how it is to
for sure, yeah. I mean, I've written a few books myself, and it's I've been married 3 times, and I'm just saying that you don't want to do another book for a while. That's my advice. I think there were other factors in it as well, but at times is the charm. But and I mean, a lot of people say this. I think people don't realize how much effort goes into a book, and writing is also quite a lonely occupation, a bit like coding in some ways. I mean, you can code in pairs and things like that, but actually writing really doesn't have that kind of ability to write things as a group.
Not really. Well, in the end,
I mean, for poets, you can. So I used to be a poet,
you get a sort of a code review at the end, which is the editorial part. And you get something back with a lot of comments.
And go, oh no, you don't get errors. But I mean, it's a labour of love, and the reason I wanted to do this webinar specifically was because there are lots of really good books out there, and DelphiBooks.com will make sure by the time people see this video that you'll be listed on there. But there are plenty of books that show people how to create apps, and in fact, I've done just a training course. I'm probably going to be doing a book as well about development in general. But this is not that. And if you're not a Delphi person, but you are, like I say, a Pascal person, a free Pascal person, this book will appeal to you. If you're just doing computer science, maybe you're a student at school. And I know this sounds like an advert, but hey, I really think it's a good book. I think you did an excellent job. There are probably some people that are going to cringe when they read their story in there and go, yes, I did do that,
Well, I tried to be nice.
It's not a kiss and tell book. It's more a factual history. So
absolutely,
And you can do another one in 20 years' time. Why not? I probably won't be around, I have to say. So
no, but we'll see. But,
and also, by the way, although if they scan, if they see my camera's reversed, if they scan this QR code, they will go to the website and it's here. But it is also available because you have an office in Brazil. A country dear to my heart because I just came back from there. Very, very interesting conference there. Wow, they've got there are so many developers there in Brazil, and they're all really keen, amazing. Like overwhelmingly keen. Wow.
Absolutely.
They wanted to do selfies with me, and I'm just a dude. Don't worry about it. But the book is actually available in Portuguese as well. My QR code title doesn't quite fit, but it's in Portuguese as well. So not only did you write it in Dutch and then translate it to English and do a really good job, you've now done it in Portuguese as well. So,
I had it done, to be honest.
So I don't think
I didn't do the translation. No, but indeed, I because there are so many Delphi developers and Pascal originally Pascal developers in Brazil, it would make sense to have it in Portuguese as well.
And the next one would be German as well. Just saying, there are a lot of people in Germany, so in fact, we can probably find someone that would be willing to help out with that, but we should see. But great book. Well, I think we've talked about it enough. For those of you watching, if you go to the website there, Marco's got some links there. It's available on Amazon right now. Is that right?
Yeah, it is.
And one question we probably need to cover: it's a physical book. It's not an e-book. They can't get it as
not yet, but maybe in the future. But now it's a real one. Yeah.
Yeah, because
as books should be.
yeah,
In my opinion.
absolutely. Look at what's behind my bookshelf there.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm biased as an author myself. I've got a soft spot for genuine books, like real physical books. I've said before that the trouble with our technology is it's a good thing because it brings people like you and I together that we wouldn't necessarily have met before, and we've met a few times now, and I'm sure we'll meet again in the next 6 months or something. But yes, it brings everybody together and it makes the world smaller, sometimes too small, and we all argue about something horrible. But the downside is that I believe our generation is going to be the first generation where there is going to be very little evidence of our existence apart from trash. Like the plastic that we consume, which is a shame. Whereas nearly every other civilization, we know what happened based on what they wrote. So, I genuinely believe that a physical book is actually something that has got a longevity that may be long after you and I are no longer around. I mean, I'm going to live to 150 because that's when I'm going to retire. But long after we've gone out. And this is a book that I think is going to stand the test of time as well because it is a good history. You did an excellent job of it. So, okay.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks a lot, Marco. And we'll pop up again in some other
absolutely
avenue in the future. But for now, I'm going to say goodbye, and we will go to a little thing that says thanks from Marco. This was a special webinar, not showing any code or anything like that. Just really wanted to talk about the book. If you go to the website, or which is down on the lower third there, or you can go directly to Amazon and scan it there. If not, if you scan it with your device, this will go to that website down there, and he's got all the links on there as well. And I'll make sure it gets on delphibooks.com as well. I am biased, as I said before. A little disclaimer: I did write the foreword for this, but that's typical now most Delphi books. But I also helped to edit this because I said it was a worthy thing to do. I genuinely think that this is something that's important for the community, which is why I wanted to do this webinar and talk about. Normally, I'll talk about other people's books and talk about the snippets and interview the authors, but this particular book I think is something out of the ordinary, and I think it's it's of value to something wider than our own Delphi-focused community, Free Pascal and computer science people. So anyway, that's the book. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye. And in fact, we are live. I'm just going to type a link into the chat. A lot of people saying, oh, I can't scan the link because it's difficult. Okay, why can't we put the link in the description? If we do put certain links in that are not to our own site, there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, our videos last several years. Did I mention I'm very sick? And some of the platforms strip the links out. And so if I say, here's the link, you'll just see a blank thing. And there's nothing you can do about it. However, I can actually put the link up like that in the chat, and you can click on the link in the chat. The chat goes to all the platforms. It's streaming to 11 different platforms. I think it's 11. Yeah, I can see Facebook several times, YouTube several times, Twitch and a few others. But if we put the link in the video description and it's not our own, we can get penalized for that because there's some things to do with like advertising and off-site links and various other things, which is annoying. However, I did put the QR code there and I did put the link up. I'm going to put the QR code up again in case you do feel like using your phone to scan it and are not having a bad day about it with me. I get it. I totally understand. There's only so much we can do. Now, let's talk about a few things. Okay, so Milan, a couple of questions, well, more comments more than anything else. That is, Milan said, story someone's perspective becomes the only answer. And that was a comment that I made in relation to Steve Jobs, who had what they called the reality distortion field. Marco G, who can't join us, by the way, for the Q&A, did a very, very good job of interviewing people for this book. We didn't tell him who could and couldn't interview, because why would we? And he spoke to a lot of people, and some of them, I don't think anybody ever insisted on anonymity, but he did get some quite spicy stories, shall we say, about what went on. The history of Borland and subsequent companies like Code Gear and who's the other one? My one's gone blank. Oh, I'm sure someone will tell me. Of those other companies is checkered. And since Idera has taken over, it's better. We are certainly financially stable. We're not going to disappear in a cloud of smoke, which actually in the Borland days was much more likely. They had a massive success with Turbo Pascal. They then had an even bigger success probably with Delphi. Turbo Pascal lives on in the hearts of everybody, but Delphi 1 was really rocking away, and Delphi 7 is still loved by many, many people. So Borland did a lot of good things, and certainly Anders Hejlsberg was and still remains a genius at language design and ID design and all the rest of it. Sorely missed. I wish he'd come back and inject some Anders magic in some of these things. Stefan talks about Project Monet and said it was object vision. I can't say that's true or not, because I don't know about Project Monet until I read the book. And I don't remember Marco G saying that was a link that way. Object vision definitely was around. And in fact, there are some, I believe there may be some ports of object vision and various other, like OWL and a few other things as well, into Pascal and C, because I've seen a few of them around. But interesting stuff. Jim says he's already purchased it at Amazon. Good job. I didn't get anything for promoting this book. I just think it's a great book. And you don't have to be a Delphi programmer to enjoy it. If you're a free Pascal person, or you are just learning computer science, or you're studying computer history, this book's great for that. Read through it. We did say in the video, which we recorded a few weeks ago, that the book would only be available in physical form. However, since then, Marco's decided to put a Kindle version out. He did say he was going to. And you can pre-order the Kindle version. I think it's pre-order. Because Kindle includes some DRM and stuff like that to stop it being pirated. I know some of the authors out there, for example, Holger Flick, who's a very good friend of mine and also an extremely good author, has said before that if they put out an ebook version, their physical books don't sell, because everybody gets the ebook, and the amount of sales that they get from the ebook is minuscule compared to the amount of copies that are out there. You can draw your own conclusions from that, but I'm guessing that someone is not being particularly honest with what's happening, and people that copy it there, they strip out the DRM and then that's it. But it is available now as a ebook. Now, we don't have any other questions. Oh, Joyce has been talking a lot, actually. Joyce said she manually typed typed it because she types fast. Excellent. Okay. I don't know what's going on with Peter. I know who you are, Peter, and I don't quite understand what your comments are. You don't need to be quite so negative. I just manually typed it because I type fast, says Joyce. Okay, all right. Milan says something that I don't know what that is. Some kind of like smiley face, whatever. Okay, so whilst we're here, then let's talk about the what's coming up, because we have some things planned. I'm just going to turn off the QR code for a moment because we've got some slides to put up. So we've got a lot of things happening, and we want to get back to doing the weekly webinars. In fact, we're going to do 2 weekly webinars. Oh, I look a bit bleached out. I'm not really that pale at the moment. I am very sick. because I travelled around to Portugal and was on a flight for God knows how many hours and talking to sick people. But I'm not normally as pale as I appear. Let me have a look at what we've got. Well, first things first, weirdly enough, is what we're doing working? Well, 15 months ago, we were number 17 in the world in terms of programming languages on the TIOBE index. And right now, we are in the top 10. Now, this means absolutely nothing because of the way that this index works. But it actually means everything as well, because we can legitimately say right now we're one of the top 10 languages in the world, in the top 10 programming languages. This does take account of Free Pascal as well, and they are popular. They're slightly aiming at a different market to us. We're aiming at a commercial market, and Free Pascal is aiming more at a kind of a hobbyist market, and they do a lot of scientific computing. They've got some very strong scientific libraries, but combined, people are using Object Pascal, which is great, and we've gone up. And will we go up further? Look, don't get too excited. Probably not, unless Fortran is wiped off the face of the planet, which I think is very unlikely. Fortran is it's a very old language, but it's still very, very strong. Same with Visual Basic. There's a lot of legacy code out there, and this includes VBA, Visual Basic for Applications, where there are whole systems written in VBA. I know because I've written them myself out there. Go is sneaking up, I think, but not as high as you would think it would be, given the amount of coverage it gets. And JavaScript, C, C#, Java, C++, and Python, well, they're going to rule the roost in an unassailable position. Python is easily the most popular language out there for a multitude of things. It has different strengths to Delphi, which is great. C++, again, different strengths. And obviously we have C++ builder as well. C++ is like having a scanning electron microscope and looking at all the variables very, very low down. And Delphi is kind of looking at it from a distance and getting the bigger picture and making things slightly easier. So they do complement each other. But C++ is not going away because there's so many different versions. We actually have some compilers that we release ourselves for free based on the Bloodshed IDE, I think, or something like that. I can't remember. And Java, well, Java's everywhere. And it's not as popular as it used to be, but it's definitely up there and doing well. It kind of flips up and down that top 5 there. And C, well, a big ton of C programs out there and a big ton of C# as well. C# is a great language, also invented by Anders Hejlsberg, and he's written about in the book. So, top 10, great, very, very good. Now, what else is going on? Well, if you open your IDE and look down the right-hand side of the IDE, you'll see videos in there in the Learn tab. There are a lot of videos there, and each of the ones that I do for the webinar series appears in that tab. We'll be doing lots more. They're kind of snack-sized, more kind of interactive videos than the ones you're getting at the moment. And we're trying to explore some avenues like the TikTok, which is crazy, and a few other things like Instagram Live, which we actually broadcast to now, and some Twitter streams or X live streams and a few other things as well. It is working. As you saw, we're in the top 10, and we are getting a lot of people watching the videos. The number of people that registered for this video that at the moment that you're watching is probably at least a third more than we normally get. So we know, the people are registering for the series. So whatever the topics are, we're probably hitting the right ones. Each of those videos in the Learn thing is a single subject, step-by-step, graphically rich, easy to follow. If you want to know how to make an iOS app, there's a video there. We'll tell you how to do it in an hour or less, and you'll have an app running on your iPhone. Now, it doesn't tell you how to create everything about the app, but it does tell you how to get to the point where you can put something you've written onto your iPhone. And the same with Android. Android has something like 19,000 views or something like that on YouTube. So it's doing pretty well. And all of these are aimed at the person who opens up the IDE for the first time and says, Now, what can I do? Well, here's your answer. We've also branched out a little bit as well. We've put some learning resources up on Embarcadero Academy. You can get them for free. I would recommend not paying for them because we have to put a price on them, a monetary value, and it's quite high based on the amount of effort that went into them, things like that. But there are 2 at the moment, and we are producing some more. There's actually 2 more in the pipeline that should be launched any day now. But the 2 that are up there at the moment, if you talk to your salespeople or your reseller or something like that, you should be able to get these courses for free. One of them is about leveraging the REST APIs, so using RAD server and making a backend that does something fantastic. And the other one is by me, which is about everything you could learn about mobile development. They're not kind of like certification courses. You do, I think, get a certificate at the end of it. I'm not sure. But the videos are designed to take you through from start to finish. Certainly the Mastering Mobile Development one covers everything. FireMonkey, set up your machine so you can talk to Android and talk to iOS and actually get to the point where you're putting proper apps together and that they work. Oh, dear. My apologies. I'm so ill. I'm sorry. So that's that. What else? Well, we have got some webinars planned. We are going to start back for real on the 12th of November. Why have we skipped a week? Because we could just as easily have done a webinar next week. And the reason is twofold. It's going to be the 5th of November next week. And as it happens, the UK, that's Guy Fawkes night. So the time that we go out happens to be the sort of time where people with children, and many of you do have children, are probably going to go out and launch some fireworks and do penny for the guy and all the other things that go on. That's one thing. In the US, it's election night. And so a lot of the Americans are either going to be going out voting or negotiating the traffic to go out voting or watching the results and seeing who wins. We have no religion or politics on this. I've said this before. Our only religion is Delphi, and our only politics are tabs and spaces. So good luck to whoever wins. I hope they do well for the United States. I am a US citizen. I have already voted. Early voting was a good thing for me. Where else are we at? Let's have a look. Influence style is kind of intuitive. What does that mean to you? Length. I'm just going to put this up here. Length, content. So all of these. The answer is that more pieces to camera, more relaxed, less lecture. You see a lot of people do webinars, particularly with GoToWebinar or something like that, where they go, "Good evening, everybody. We are going to present our webinar," and it's very heavily scripted, and which is, some people prefer that because I ramble on and I get it. Some people probably hate what I'm talking about. That's absolutely fine. I get it. I can't please everybody. I try to please as many people as I can. The feedback we get from these types of webinars that we're doing is very positive. So we know we're probably hitting the right balance for most. Jim says, Jim, is that you, Jim? I'm wondering if it's Jim McKeith, because he often joins these things. How about something on all the options settings in the IDE? That's a good idea. We're going to do some short ones, and all the settings and that wouldn't take very long. We'd probably be like a 15-minute video at the most. So that's a good idea. I'll put that in my little idea. But anyway, on the 12th, after the election is over and after Guy Fawkes night has happened and after the world has recovered from whoever has won the US election and all the hoo-ha and all the rest of it is done, we're going to do Meet the Developer. Now, we have a really great app that we are looking at. I've got a screenshot for it. I think it's this one. Oh, no, that's the other one. They've got two apps in the App Store. This is the one. It's called Viking Stories, and it's very nice. And it's a rune casting game, and it's in the App Store now. So we're going to talk to Oleg and Bruno Fearens from TMS because they are both up together. My apologies. I am so sick. And he's also got an app called Diamond Clock as well. He's got a really great video that I can't show at the moment, but showing this on like a huge portrait size screen, like a giant iPhone about 4 feet high. It's fantastic. And Diamond Clock is really, really pretty. So that's a great thing. So we will be meeting him on the 12th. On the Friday of the same week, we're going to meet a developer who's got a product called Font Creator. And its name is Erwin Dennison. And this is a cross-platform app that allows you to create fonts and also install them and manage them and customize fonts. It works on Mac OS and it works on Windows. Erwin is going to talk about the challenges he faced by creating that. Same as Oleg is with the Viking Stories app, the things that worked, the things that didn't work, how he got to do it. So the first two are actually meeting people who are proper developers and had some success. Font Creator, personally, is a really, really great app. I saw it in a webinar and I said, can we talk? I think this would be great to show people. So that's coming up. And Quick Reports. If you used Quick Reports years ago and you bought it from QBS, their developer unfortunately passed away. Luke Mentz was the name of the developer, and he passed away unexpectedly. This seems to happen, all too often, unfortunately. And they kind of floundered around for a while. I think that's fair to say. But since then, they are now, they've done a deal with Barnston, who are a very big distributor, and Barnston are helping them distribute Quick Reports. So it's back, and it is back from the doldrums. So we're going to have a look at what Quick Reports can do and what new versions got and all those options as well. On that Friday, we're going to meet Tim Coates. He's an Australian, and he's a YouTube streamer. So that's interesting stuff. Tim has a very laconic way of talking. So good luck dealing with me, Tim. We'll see how that works. We're going to pre-record that. And after that, we're going to show you what we're going to do is try and recreate some of the social media apps. And I mean recreate them. So one of them, for example, we are going to try and recreate Instagram, not just the user interface, but also the back end that stores the Instagram stories and the Instagram pictures and maintains your friends list. And we will do the the mobile app part and the back end part. So if you've want to see what you can really do with Rad Studio, we're going to show you how to do it. Now, obviously, we're not going to rip off Instagram. You're doing this as an educational thing to teach people what can be done, because you can do anything with Rad Studio, and this kind of webinar will demonstrate that. It'll be a beautiful app. It will work just like Instagram in many ways, as an educational task rather than anything else. We're not trying to get you to pirate Instagram. So that's on the 26th. We're also going to use Figma to design some Delphi mobile apps. Now, Figma is a wireframing and graphic design app. There are a few others out there as well. Canva is another one, very good. And Sketch is another one. There's even an add-in for Sketch that will allow you to import Sketch diagrams and create FireMonkey apps from it. I tried it. There were a few issues that I need to resolve. So if I can resolve it by the 29th, and I will do at the end of November. Starting in December, we're going to have a whole webinar showing you what you can do with web stencils, which is a new feature of 12.2. Web stencils is absolutely outstanding. It is one of the best features we've put in since, I think, Skia for Delphi people, but also, there's quite a lot of what's the word I'm looking for? There's other features for C++ developers and things like that, but web stencils is really the standout feature to 12.2. Peter Panino says, Niklas Worth at the ETH in Zurich. Those were the days when intellectual innovations came from Europe, and now all that comes from Europe is climate superstition. Yeah, Niklas Worth was a very smart guy, and like anybody, had all sorts of opinions. I don't know whether I could characterize Europe as having climate superstition. Believe me, as an American, I can tell you there are plenty over here as well that just don't get it. I don't know. I'm not going to get into that argument. And lots of people saying they've ordered the book, by the way, as well, which is good. Miguel says he's reserved it on Amazon. Excellent. Okay, after web stencils, which is really great feature, we're going to recreate something from Silicon Valley. If you used to watch the HBO series of Silicon Valley, Pied Piper and Richard and all those other characters in there, really, really great series. In there is a app that Jin Lang creates. Jin Yang, I think his name is actually. What it does is you point it at some food and it tells you if it's a hot dog. And you can guess the joke behind that. But the idea is if you point it at some food, then it just says not a hot dog or a hot dog. It's absolutely stupid. And that's the point that, the Erlich Bachman has invested a ton of money in this and got some other investors to invest this. And of course, the app is absolutely useless. But it does work. Well, we are actually going to recreate that app just for the fun of it. It is a spoof app that was in the TV show, but we're going to actually make it work for real and have an app where you can point it at some food. Using AI, it will tell you if it is or isn't a hot dog. I will let you decide whether you point it at any other things that could look like a hot dog and go from there. Probably a sausage dog, a Dachshund or something like that. And anything else that is unbroadcastable, we will not talk about. We are then going to look at the Amazon services. Richard Hatherall is going to do some live coding. In fact, he's probably going to help me with the not hot dog as well. And we are going to recreate Bro, which is another app from Silicon Valley. And all that does is it's a communications app. And all you can do with it is send the word bro backwards and forwards. But it does allow you to understand how things like WebSockets work and REST endpoints and also, presence control and stuff like that. The joke in the TV program was that people read all sorts of things into the word bro. Wow, he's really angry. And all it says is bro. It doesn't have any colors, doesn't have any emoji or anything like that. It just says bro. And people go, oh man, he just broed me. It's a stupid thing. But it will teach you how to do an app that has got an infrastructure behind it, because we're not going to just do the app user interface. Jim McKeith just posted me on LinkedIn. Fantastic. Thanks, Jim. So, Bro, Amazon services in your apps, the easy way, and in fact, not Hot Dog and Bro are both going to use some Amazon services, but Richard Howler, again, live coding with me. He did say do it. We didn't actually agree a date, but he's got a publicist now, so he's super slick and trendy. And he messaged earlier on about it. Then we're going to do a thing on Tuesday, the 17th of December. Things you wish you knew before today. And it's going to be a number of different things. I'm sure people are going to come up with things that they are unhappy about that they wish they knew before today, and I get that. But actually also other things as well, helpful things to say, hey, whenever I do some stuff, Richard Hadler was just like an absolute star, has said, bro. Yeah, and so now I have to say, bro, back in the chat. There you go. So we'll make sure that it's going to get silly, isn't it? I mean, but we're nerds. We're geeky nerds. So things you wish you knew before today, just different things about coding and coding with Red Studio, coding with Delphi, coding with C++, general stuff as a developer that you think, I didn't know that. Some weird things like your health. I'm actually collecting today a standing desk because I'm getting old. And I'm finding that I've been sitting down at a desk for 40 years as a coder. It's starting to have an impact on my health. And now I'm going to try having a standing desk, lose some weight, which would be wonderful, but also just generally get some exercise. And then finally, we're going to end on the 20th of December with a holiday special live event. I sound just like some kind of ABC announcer on TV or something like that. But special live event. We're going to get a bunch of well-known faces from Delphi and C++ together. and we're going to do a special Christmas edition of Roundtable, probably a bit like Tea, Coffee and Code. And we're going to talk about various Delphi and C++ and general coding subjects. So have some fun with it. So that's what we are doing. Let me just go back and turn off this thing here. I think this is it. Yeah. So you're back to me in my little studio. So that's what we've got planned. We've been trying to push the envelope a little bit. And when I took over the developer relations, Jim McKeith, who was my predecessor, had been doing it for 10 years, and he's a very good guy, a really good friend of mine. We got on very well. And we're very similar. He's been over here to visit me in Dallas, and we've hung out and seen all sorts of nerdy things and gone to a computer games museum together, which I nearly couldn't get him out of. But we're quite different in our approach. And I'm sorry, I'm losing my voice because I'm sick. But my ideas about what I think we should be doing on the Tuesdays and the Fridays are quite different from other people's. And it looks like what we're doing, and the people like you who are watching now, and hopefully if you're on YouTube, click like and subscribe. I won't know who you are. I won't be able to go and steal stuff out of your mailbox. I won't be able to go and pick up your Amazon parcels from your doorstep, because I will have no idea who you are. Oh, sorry. Told you I was sick. But if you click on like and subscribe, you don't have to worry about those emails that remind you, because it will actually ping you automatically and tell you when we're live, because LinkedIn and all the others tell you in advance of the time when it's live. But something's working, because we are in the top 10 at the moment, the TIOB. Like I say, we may well slip down and back up again because of the way it's calculated. I can't do that, but right now, Pascal, Object Pascal, and I mean Free Pascal and Delphi, is one of the top 10 languages in the world. That's really good news, because that's all I'm here for. And to try and make that happen, and interacting with you guys in the chat and all the rest of it is all about it. Stefan says I should go to bed with a bottle of rum. Actually, I drink vodka. My stepfather's Polish, so I grew up with vodka. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from. I don't think that's really going to help my immune system very well. Thank you, Trey. Eric Cartman from Hey. Eric Cartman, yeah. I can't really probably say any of his lines, because some of his lines are obscene. But yeah, thank you for doing the work. Hey, it's not right. Milan says I'm going to be very busy for the next 2 months. Actually, this is only part of what I do. We try and reach out and get some education going and things like that. And sometimes we get it wrong. And there's a couple of people in the chat who I know who it didn't work out quite the way it should do. And I'm hoping we can get back and have that conversation again, because they were genuine, and it didn't work out, and I think we could do better. I don't know, maybe it's too late, maybe they don't want to do it. But we do get people from all over the world, even obscure places like Chichester. Stephen knows I know where Chichester is. But we do get people from every country in the world joining. I mean, we've had, like, before now at these webinars, like 17 different countries. Like I say, for this webinar series, we've had over 1,500 people sign up. That's absolutely insane, really, when you think about it, because for a developer webinar, and it is about a book, which is a really good book, that one there, Pioneering Simplicity. If I move my head there, you can see it a bit better. But even so, that amount of people is a good thing. Stephen says, Ian, a good dose of London fog required. Yeah, that'll kill me off, mate. I was born in Woolwich in London. My mother tells of a time when she put me out in the pram in the backyard in London. And this was in the 60s, because I was born in the very early 60s. And she forgot about me. Nice one, Mum. And when she went out to go and get me, she hung the washing out and everything. And when she came to get me, I had soot marks all over my face and all over the clothes that I had on. I was only a baby in the pram. And that was London in the 60s. And now it's nothing like that. It's got quite a lot of pollution, but nothing like it was back in the day. So, yeah, a good dose of London fog now. I'm not doing that. So I'll probably not. Okay, so that's it, really. I'll just remind you once again that if you want the book, go to the website, and we will be back. Let me just get the QR code up as well for those that aren't going to get annoyed by me saying scan it. You know, I really do recommend this book. As I said, I did help with the editing. I am a professional editor and a professional writer. And actually, any Delphi book, if it comes to it, if it's a Delphi book, I would love to do the foreword for you. I know there's a couple of other books coming out. I've done the forewords for those. And if you know, you're writing in English and you're struggling or whatever, I would be more than happy to help edit your book and you know, as a technical editor, and get your book out. And there's nothing in it for us. If it's for the benefit of the community, then we'll do it. Okay, so if you are thinking about writing a book, then we'll help. Same with coursework and things like that. You know, I'm happy to try and help out. We want to make sure, especially education, actually, we want to make sure that, you know, as many people as possible are exposed to Rad Studio and Delphi and C++ Builder. And we can only do that as part of the teamwork. You know what they say, teamwork makes the dream work. Okay, I think that's it. And I will see you on the 12th, did I say? Let me pull it up. So I've forgotten because I've been too busy. Yeah, the 12th is the next one, which will be Meet the Developer. Viking Stories mobile app is, we're going to talk to him. Bruno Ferens from TMS will be partly there. And so will Oleg, the actual designer and developer that worked on that app. We're going to talk about what goes on behind the scenes of that app and go from there. And then the same week, we're going to meet another developer who created Font Creator, which is a really, really slick, beautiful program with a lot of technical know-how going on in the background. Anyway, I am going to go before my voice gives out and I just fall into a big soggy heap. But I will see you on the 12th. Thanks for joining me.